Almost 90 years ago, an obscure inventor from Niagara Falls, New York, by the name of Richard Max Eaton, filed a patent for an electric lighting device that used two D-cell batteries. Eaton went on to file 16 more patents for flashlights, an electric heating device, and even a motion picture projecting device. But the Niagara Searchlight Company was best known for their small, red, handheld lantern. I stumbled upon this Niagara Red at a local yard sale. Didn't really know much about it until I did a little research, and then I decided it needed a restoration. Plenty of rust on this 85-year-old lantern. It didn't work when I got it, but it will. I popped open the back and saw what I was in for. All right, you little lantern, time to make you as good as new. Back handles were partially attached and needed to come off. The back cover came off with ease, and now it's time to remove the assorted rivets that hold this thing together. The first set of switch contacts are out. The light bulb contacts need to be drilled out as well. The little switch lever popped out easily. Now the base needs to come off to get everything disassembled, and that gave me a little bit of trouble using a screwdriver, having to bend those tabs back, and also using some penetrating oil to cut through some of that old rust. While that does its work, it's time to move on to the lens assembly. I was careful to unscrew it, not knowing what to expect. I discovered a spring inside that keeps the lens ring tight. It's time to remove that little light bulb, and it just unscrewed right out of the base. That penetrating oil has had time to work. Now it's time to carefully muscle off the bottom part of the case. There's a hard paper insert that has some general information and instructions on how to use the lantern, but that piece has seen its day. An aluminum reflector and a piece of glass fit snugly inside the lens ring. Those little brackets that hold the back handles are also riveted in place, so they need to be drilled out. I'm not 100% sure that this bulb is burned out, so over to the bench I go, and using a button cell battery and a couple of jumpers, I test it out and get nothing. The last piece to come out is that center section that holds the bulb in place, and I just gave that a little bit of a twist and nudge, and it came free. All of the parts are disassembled, and now it's time to do the restoration on this 85-year-old lantern. I'll steel brush the rust off the small metal parts. Then scrub that glass lens and make it crystal clear. Time to head over to the blast cabinet and get some sandblasting done. I'll sandblast all the body parts, removing every last bit of rust. All of the main pieces are sandblasted, and we're moving along. The inside of the housing pieces were originally not painted. They were just raw metal. So I'll apply some heat-sensitive tape that can withstand our powder coat oven's 450 degrees. I'll hang the body pieces in my DIY powder coating booth, which is just a large plastic storage bin with a hole cut in the back, a filter added, and then a box fan to suck the air through. Once all the pieces are coated, it's time to cure them in the oven. At 450 degrees, the powder coat will flow out or cover the entire piece. Then down to 400 degrees for 20 minutes. While those pieces cool, it's time to get to that reflector. It needs some work. So I'm going to start with 150 grit sandpaper and work my way down to 2200, alternating the direction with each change. Then it's time to give it a good polish. And it reflects great. I also polished up the other pieces, the handles on the back, the metal components from inside, as well as the spring. All the components are done. Look at them now. It's finally time for reassembly, which will do exactly like they did in 1934, using rivets to hold the interior components together. The center bulb assembly is complete and installed back into the housing. Remember that original insert that had seen its day? Well, I recreated it using some cardstock. After positioning it inside the housing, it was time to install the rest of the components. You can really see the simplistic design of this circa 1934 Niagara Searchlight once you get inside. I found a brand new replacement bulb and installed that in the housing, added the spring, the reflector, and then the glass bezel and the outside ring to hold everything together. The base was installed, and now it's time to add some retro-looking D-cell batteries so we can power up our restored Niagara Searchlight. We'll slip the back on and the final top piece, and let's turn it on. This old lantern is surprisingly bright, and turning the ring adjusts the beam from tight to wide. Now that this 20th century Niagara Searchlight has been fully restored, I think it's time to give it a 21st century upgrade. Remember that original bulb that was shot? I put it in a vise and hit it with my heat gun and pulled the glass bulb out of the base. Then I completely cleaned out the inside of that threaded base. Now it's time for 3 high-power white LEDs. I put some shrink tubing on the positive legs of each of those LEDs and then inserted the positive leg inside the base. I clipped the ends off of the negative leads, soldered the positive legs all as one big group, and then soldered each individual negative leg of the LEDs to the housing of the bulb. Now I've got 3 3-volt LEDs running parallel. Then it's as easy as removing the original bulb and inserting our new high-tech triple LED bulb in our Niagara Searchlight. It's pretty bright and puts out a wide beam. So that's how to restore an 85-year-old flashlight and make it new again. I think Mr. Eaton would be proud. I hope you enjoyed this first in a series of Kipkay Restored videos. If you've got something you'd like to see me restore, leave it in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.